creativity, you've also got a passion for cartooning. And I think that's
Yeah.
really fascinating. How did you get involved with that?
Well, I think every kid likes to draw, right? You see kids all the time with the crayons and their paints, and I just never stopped drawing. I kept that passion going. And when I was a young kid, I had a lot of friends that were into comic books. And to be honest, comic books were outside of my tax bracket. I couldn't afford that sort of thing. And so, but all my friends would come up and they show me these Batman comic books and these Superman comic books, and they would copy the characters out of them, and they want to impress me with their drawing skills too. But I was always into faces, and I was going, okay, you drew Batman, but he's got a square head and not a lot of detail. You're not drawing much there from a face standpoint. I could appreciate the rest of the art in it, but it didn't scratch the itch for me because I loved faces. And then I discovered Mad Magazine, and Mad Magazine would spoof movies and TV shows. And for that to work, they're going, this month Mad makes fun of Top Gun, and you'd open it up and you go, that's Tom Cruise. Man, you don't have to tell me that's Tom Cruise. That's a cartoon that looks just like Tom Cruise. And that fascinated me. So I would copy what I saw in Mad Magazine and taught myself how to draw caricatures that way. And then you fast forward to when I started wrestling for WCW in the late 90s. Man, we were on the road 300 days out of the year. You're in a different town every night. You have to be at these arenas at noon for a show that doesn't go live on television until 7 p.m. So you'd have a lot of downtime. And I noticed every locker room had a whiteboard in it. So I bought a pack of dry erase markers, and I would draw the guys in the back, Hogan and Flair and all them, and other wrestlers like Kurt Hennig especially just loved it, man. He liked to spoof and make fun of people anyway, and joke around with them and be a practical jokester. So he would really goad me on, draw Hulk Hogan, okay. Draw him really old with an oxygen mask and a walker. And I'm Curdy's in the other room. He goes, he won't care. He'll love it. And they did. And so the editors and publishers of the wrestling magazines, specifically Ross Foreman for WCW and Bill Apter for the other magazines, I think he had WOW at the time, they saw my art and they would ask me to do cartoons for the wrestling magazines. And that became a regular gig for me. And the advantage that gave me was right away I realized they're not hiring me because I'm a professional artist. They're hiring me because I'm the wrestler that can kind of sort of draw. But the advantage for me is that means I'm not going to be replaced by somebody else. So I can keep experimenting every month and try to get better and better and better. And every time I do a cartoon, increase the quality. And by the time I walked away from wrestling at that level and wasn't doing cartoons for the magazines anymore, about 13 years had passed, and I taught myself a lot of skills that made me a professional illustrator and artist.
That's so cool being able to do that and have another passion that you have really worked on. Have you thought about doing cartoons for wrestling and other outlets?
Well, I do a podcast now through adfreeshows.com that's called 60-Minute Time Limit Draw with Lash LeRoux. And so a lot of fans can interact with me, much like we're doing right now. And I'll tell stories about the subject. If I'm drawing The Undertaker, I'll talk about some interactions and working with him. And while I'm drawing The Undertaker live for them. And then when I finish, I'll sell prints of the drawing. So I get a little bit of interaction that way. The truth is, caricature is my first love, and now I do live events with my caricatures all the time. And so I have three prongs to my caricature business. I do live digital caricatures, I do live traditional caricatures like you see in theme parks and fairs and festivals, and then I do commission work at home. And I stay so busy with that and have built that business to such an extent I don't have time for anything else. I'm literally on the road now traveling and doing live events with caricature as much as I wrestled for WCW.